This program is brought to you by the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing with the community the many benefits of a vegetarian diet. Free monthly meetings include vegetarian experts found locally and on the mainland, quick and easy cooking demonstrations, and healthful and delicious food samples. Members enjoy an informative quarterly newsletter, social activities, and discounts at many vegetarian-friendly restaurants and health food stores. For an application, call 944-8344. That's 944-8344. Or visit our website at www.vsh.org. vsh.org.
I'd like to welcome you all to the monthly free public lecture sponsored by the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii. The Vegetarian Society is a not-for-profit volunteer organization founded in 1990 to promote human health, animal rights, and protection of the environment by means of vegetarian education. It's the largest local vegetarian society in the country with more than 1,700 members. I'd like to encourage you to join the Vegetarian Society tonight if you're not already a member. Members receive an informative and educational newsletter quarterly and discounts at many vegetarian-friendly restaurants and health food stores. This benefit alone would more than cover your membership cost. Now it's time for the introduction of our special guest. We're happy to welcome back to the Vegetarian Society Dr. John Westerdahl, nutritionist, registered dietitian, certified nutrition specialist, and master herbalist. He's the director of wellness and lifestyle medicine for Castle Medical Center in Kailua, the nutrition editor for Veggie Life magazine, co-host of the weekly popular radio talk show Nutrition and You on KWAI 1080 AM radio, and host of Dr. John's Health Moment on Oceanic Cable 16's Tasty and Meatless. He's an American Dietetic Association panel member of leading scientific experts on dietary supplements. He serves on the faculty of the American Academy of Nutrition and is a member of numerous scientific and professional societies, including the American Dietetic Association and the American College of Nutrition. He's the author of Medicinal Herbs, a Vital Reference Guide, and co-author of the Millennium Cookbook, Extraordinary Vegetarian Cuisine. Please welcome Dr. John Westerdahl.
Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. Someone told me I have to yell because this microphone's not working today, but I'm not good at yelling for an hour or hour and a half. So some of you might want to sit up a little bit closer and you can hear better possibly. Tonight we're going to be talking about herbs and supplements. This is a growing area of interest today. How many of you take supplements of some form or another, whether it's herbal or vitamins? Actually, most of the audience, it looks like, is taking some type of supplement. First of all, we're going to talk about herbs. Herbs, of course, are natural medicines. They've been around for a long time, since the beginning of time. This is in the Egyptian drug rooms. Pharmacists were putting together different herbal preparations. Actually, the herbal medicine book, Papyrus Ebers, written 1550 BC, lists many herbal remedies. The Babylonians used herbs as medicines, as part of their spiritual rituals as well. And many times you're going to find that a lot of the herbal products, there is a religious connotation with them as well as a medicinal connotation. And of course the Chinese for thousands of years have been using herbs. And some of the herbs that are used today, and even medicines that we have today, have their origins from ancient Chinese medicine. You can see some of the herbs there that they use, ginseng and ephedra and other herbs. Hippocrates, who's the father of medicine, used herbs, and of course the ancient Greeks used herbs extensively in their pharmacopoeia. In fact, all our medicines originated, before we had the synthetic medicines, they all originated from plants. And even today there is much research going on as scientists are going into the jungles, into the areas of South America, into the rainforests, to find new medicines. And the real concern, of course, from an environmental standpoint, is that many of the rainforests are being destroyed. Part of it's in raising animals. You know, they're raising cattle and cutting down the lumber and using that for raising animals. And there's some concern today that some of the plants may become extinct in the rainforest. And who knows, maybe there's a plant there that someday may be the cure for cancer. So more and more research is going on in the area of medicinal plants. And exciting things are coming out of the rainforest as well. In fact, when I lived in San Francisco, there was a pharmaceutical company called Shaman Pharmaceutical Company that their whole mission was to find medicines from the rainforest in the Amazon. Well, a number of years ago, I came across this article which was very fascinating. It appeared in The Lancet, which is the #1 medical journal in the world. And it pointed out that pharmaceuticals from plants, great potential but few funds. And it pointed out a number of medicinal plants that have been proven scientifically to be very effective for many different conditions, and that as we look into the whole area of phytochemistry, we're finding that in plants there are wonderful things that have medicinal properties and preventive properties. However, there's not a lot of money available for doing research on these plants. And part of that here in the United States is because most of our drug monies and drug companies aren't going to spend millions and millions of dollars to study a simple herb that anyone could come up with and use as a medicinal agent. They're only interested in spending research funds on patented medicines, synthetic medicines that they can patent. It's a profit motive type of thing. Now in Germany, where the medical system is set up differently, they are interested in doing research on herbs. And actually in Germany and parts of Europe, they're much more advanced than the United States in the whole area of medicinal herbs and more scientific about it, and doctors are much more aware of plant medicines. I'm very interested in the area of plant. In fact, my doctoral area of research was in plant-based diets and plant-based medicines in the prevention, treatment, and reversal of diseases. So I think there's a big power in plants that we need to take a look at, not only from a health and nutrition standpoint, but also in a medicinal area as well. Back in 1994, the word phytochemical wasn't that well known, and this Newsweek article made people real aware of the term phytochemicals. And it's here you see the article, "The Search for the Magic Bullet, Better Than Vitamins, Can Phytochemicals Prevent Cancer? What about antioxidants?" I remember when I was a nutrition scientist for a Shaklee Corporation a number of years ago, which is a major vitamin supplement company, I was telling some of my colleagues that I think the area of the future is in the whole area of phytochemicals. And some of them laughed at me. They never heard that term before, phytochemicals. They thought that was kind of a funny name. Well, now almost everyone knows what a phytochemical is. It's a plant-derived chemical. It may have a pharmaceutical benefit or a nutraceutical benefit, nutrition type of benefit. So this is really the new frontier in the area of nutrition today. Let's talk about herbs, and first of all, get some definition of what an herb is. Herbs are different things to different people. The definitions can vary according to the area of personal interest or bias. In botany, it's described as any plant that has a soft stem. In the culinary field, herbs are defined as something that has aromatic, flavorful compounds that contribute to a cuisine or to cooking. In medicine, plants are sources of healing remedies. And as I mentioned, all the medicines originally were from plant-derived or from natural ingredients. Why is it important to learn about herbs? I think it's important because in the plant kingdom, there's wonderful things that have medicinal properties and health properties beyond just the food. So the uses of botanicals, by the way, is increasing. U.S. physicians are not trained in the use of herbs, so that's one reason why physicians as well as lay people need to be more knowledgeable about them. They're widely used in Europe, China, and Asia with a good track record of safety and efficacy. And of course, in those areas of the world, 80% of the medicines that people use worldwide are from natural sources, and most of those are from botanical sources. Often, herbal remedies are safe and effective alternatives to drugs and medicines which may have side effects. These things are mild compounds. Some of them are very effective for treating different conditions, but don't have the side effects that you do have in some of the drug medications or synthetic medications. Herbal users get their product information, according to the latest research, from friends, family, books, and magazines. This can be good in some ways, but it can be a little scary in other ways, because not all those books and magazines and the information they learn from their grandmother or from their aunt is necessarily that scientific or very good information. But that's where most of the people are getting their information on herbs. Not from their doctors, not from scientists, but from these types of publications and friends and family. Now, Dr. Varro Tyler, he came up with the definition as far as the area of medicinal herbs, one that I think is the best definition I've seen. And that is that herbs are crude drugs of vegetable origin used for the treatment of a chronic nature or to attain or maintain a condition of improved health. I think this is the most precise definition for the area of medicinal herbs. Now, in 1997, we spent about $3.5 billion spent on herbal medicines. Now today, 2005, closer, really about $4 billion a year spent on herbal medicines. 1 in 5 prescription drug users also take herbal preparations, and this is of interest. That came out in JAMA and also in other leading medical journals when a Dr. Eisenberg now he's from Harvard University, he's heading up the complementary medicine department at the School of Medicine there. He estimated that 15 million people who take herbal medicines may be at risk for adverse interactions between their prescription medications and the herbal products. By the way, Dr. Eisenberg is going to be here in Hawaii. I think he's here now and visiting us over in Castle Medical Center this next week. So this appeared in JAMA, which alerted physicians to the fact that a lot of their patients are using herbs and they need to be aware of it. 70% of the patients taking alternative medicines do not disclose this to their doctors. Why do you think? Anyone have an idea? They don't ask, the doctors don't ask, but they don't even tell their doctors because someone has said the doctors don't know much about it, but also many doctors, or I should say patients, are afraid that their doctors are going to make fun of them if they do say that they're taking herbs or they're taking some alternative types of medicines, supplements, or other products. At Castle Medical Center, myself and Mary Arakaki, who is our dietitian, nutritionist on our staff, what we try to let people know is that when you do nutrition counseling with us at our wellness center, that we're very open to herbs and supplements. We want to help people. Unfortunately, in the past, many people were afraid to talk to dietitians about herbs or supplement products because they thought they were going to be scolded for taking them too. Mary and myself believe that a all plant-based vegetarian diet is really the ideal type of diet for health and wellness, but some of these adjuncts can complement a healthy diet. Now, herbs have been categorized as dietary supplements based on the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. Unfortunately, supplements are not regulated in the United States, and some of the herbs and phytochemicals are sold as dietary supplements that are not regulated by the FDA. Many herbs, particularly your medicinal herbs, really aren't supplements. There aren't things you should be taking. When you think of a supplement, you think of a vitamin. They're not necessarily safe to be taking every day like a multivitamin. In fact, some of them could be hazardous if you take it every day over a long period of time. Most of the herbs actually are for specific uses. When you have special medical indications or you have special health problems that you want to use them for. Now in Germany, they have what's called the German Commission E, which is their equivalent to our FDA, in which they do regulate herbal products, and I think they do so in a very responsible way. They allow claims to be made for certain herbal preparations that have scientific basis, where they've done studies to show that certain herbs have medicinal benefits, and they allow prescribed claims for those. They also have very strict standards on preparations for herbs. In other words, they have to meet more pharmaceutical grade quality, which I think is important because some of the herbal products on the market today may not be safe. They may not be clean. They may be loaded with pathogenic bacteria. That's what some of our studies showed when we analyzed some of the popular herbal products on the market. They may not be dosed right. In fact, some herbal products on the market may not even contain the herbs that they claim they have in it because the companies didn't test it and screen it and do chemical analysis on the herbs before they were tableted or put into capsules. So I believe that we need some regulation in the herbal area. Now, the German Commission E has put together their own PDR for botanicals, and these are monographs that outline the safety and efficacy of herbs in phytomedicinals. And these are based, as I said, on studies that have been done in Germany, and they have done excellent peer-reviewed, scientific, published studies, many of them double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, to show the safety and efficacy of many medicinal plants. This is a copy of the German Commission E. In the past several years, it has been translated from German into the English language by the American Botanical Council. Mark Blumenthal, who's a good friend of mine, he heads ABC, or the American Botanical Council. They've republished this, so if you're interested in getting a copy of this volume, you can contact the American Botanical Council off the website. It's quite expensive. It is a professional book. It's available also on CD-ROM now as well. There are many considerations that we need to look at when we look at medicinal plants. First of all, they should be evidence-based for safety and efficacy. We need to know the amounts of active ingredients that these plants have, appropriate doses with the expected response to a particular indication, standardized to the German Commission E guidelines that are published in that book. Incidence of adverse effects, we need to be knowledgeable about that. Are there contraindications, or is there drug interactions? Very important to know. And most herbalists and herbal scientists don't really recommend taking herbs during pregnancy or lactation, or even with children, but under specific types of uses. Now, of course, there's some herbs that are fine, like, for instance, ginger is a great herb, medicinal herb for anti-nausea, and women who are pregnant have morning sickness. That's actually a very effective herb in helping them. These are some of the herbs that are considered safe and effective. We'll be talking about a few of them. And having such a broad topic tonight, I'm not going to be able to cover all of them, but there's at least, 200 major herbs that people are using today for different reasons. Probably about 2,000 worldwide altogether, but 200 major medicinal herbs that people think of today. And these are some of them: Echinacea, hawthorn, garlic, St. John's wort, valerian, ginseng, milk thistle, saw palmetto, ginkgo are quite safe. On the other hand, some of the herbs that should be avoided and considered unsafe include chaparral. That used to be a big herb for many, many years. People were taking it, but it's been associated with liver toxicity. Comfrey, which can also do damage to the liver and even promote liver cancer. And comfrey externally as an herb contains allantoin, which is a very good wound healing agent externally to put to cuts and so forth, but not safe internally. Geranium, pennyroyal. All these, there's been several cases of liver toxicity associated with these herbs. Now, ephedra, or mawang, was recently pulled off the market, although I think ephedra is one of the greatest medicinal herbs ever in history because of its decongestant properties. However, it's been abused in the herbal industry because it is a stimulating herb used in weight loss aids and energy supplements and so forth, and there have been people that it's raised their blood pressure. People have died from taking large amounts of it over periods of time. So unfortunately, it had to be taken off because of the irresponsibility of some herbal product companies that used it in their formulations. I want to just mention that many companies don't test the herbs. This is an older study, but newer studies have been done confirming the same type of thing, that many of the herbal products, like in case of ginseng, many of the products that they analyze contain little or no ginsenosides, which means that out of 54 commercial products, 60% had little ginseng and 25% had no ginseng in them at all. I want to talk a little bit about Panax ginseng, or ginseng. That's Chinese ginseng or Korean ginseng to start off with, because that's one of the most popular herbs, used for increasing energy and improving stamina, reducing fatigue, stress, and mental exhaustion. Some studies have shown that it's helped to lower cholesterol and improve LDL-HDL ratio. Ginseng has been labeled as one that promotes homeostasis or balance and provides resistance to stressful stimuli. And this may be, as a result, it may potentiate the function of the adrenal glands. Ginseng has the longest history of traditional herbal use. Do you know ginseng is the most extensively researched plant on the face of the earth? More research has been done on ginseng than any other plant. And the 6-year-old roots are probably the best quality of ginsengs because they have the highest levels of these compounds we call ginsenosides that are believed to be the active ingredients. Now, there are problems with abuse of ginseng. There's what we've called the ginseng abuse syndrome. People who take large amounts of ginseng over long periods of time, it's been shown to promote hypertension, raise blood pressure, and cardiac disorders, heart palpitations, so that people who have cardiac conditions or high blood pressure should not really take this herb because it can have some adverse effects. Some of the side effects associated with ginseng are nervousness and excitation during the first few days at higher dosages. Overuse can cause headaches, insomnia, and heart palpitations. And this is what we call the ginseng abuse syndrome. This is published in Journal of American Medical Association, showing that people that took over 15 grams, which is a large amount of ginseng actually, per day, had some of these types of side effects. If you are taking central nervous system stimulants as part of therapy from doctors, or drink a lot of excess caffeine, ginseng could be contraindicated for those conditions. In pregnancy, it's not recommended for pregnant women. For many years, ginseng was thought to be really good for athletes, as an ergogenic aid. What does the research really show? Well, the research really doesn't support it too well. In fact, this is a study concluded the study does not support the ergogenic effect on peak performance aerobic exercise. Basically, here again, ginseng had no effect on oxygen consumption and heart rate. Aerobic exercise tests measured pre and post-trial tests. The studies have not shown it to be very effective at all for athletes. And I know a lot of athletes do take ginseng. Ruth probably knows lots of people out there that take ginseng thinking that's going to give them a boost and be good for them. Even the astronauts in Russia were using it and many others. But it really hasn't shown from a scientific perspective in the studies done to be that effective. Also, ginseng's been known as an aphrodisiac, enhancing sexual vigor and so forth. Here again, studies that have been done, very good studies, have shown no support for those claims. Dr. Norman Farnsworth, who I work very closely with, in fact, he's one of the world's leading authorities on herbal medicines with the World Health Organization, professor of pharmacognosy at the University of Illinois in Chicago, has done a lot of research on ginseng as well as many, many herbs. President Clinton had him as the herbal scientist on his 12-member panel of scientists when they looked at food supplements. And I just want to acquaint you with that word pharmacognosy. Pharmacognosy is one of the 5 disciplines of pharmacology that deals with natural medicines. Pharmacognosy is really the original pharmacology. It has to do with natural medicines, most of them which, of course, come from plants and herbs. Anyway, Dr. Farnsworth did lots of extensive research on ginseng, and I think his comment on ginseng sums it up really good. That nothing is proven in pharmacology until different groups all publish and agree. Ginseng is a perplexing problem. It has been shown to have virtually every conceivable biological effect known to man and woman, and there are reports that most of these effects are also negative. Until some good human studies are done, ginseng must be considered as a general tonic with no specific biological effects that can be nailed down for the human condition. Now we're going to come to one of my favorite herbs, and this is a culinary herb as well as a medicinal herb, and that's garlic. I've become real passionate about garlic because I spent 2 years in researching garlic and studying it. Garlic, of course, has been used as a medicine for many, many years, even back to the ancient Egyptians. By the way, this is the original medical text called Papyrus Ebers, written in 1550 BC, and there's at least 200 prescriptions, medical prescriptions. This is the first medical book, by the way, known to man here. 200 prescriptions that include garlic in its formula. Now, when you look at this papyrus, Here's really the first medical text in a big way that's been discovered. Anyone see any similarities to what we know today in medicine? Well, what it shows is that doctors' handwriting has not changed. Hippocrates used garlic as a medicine for bronchial conditions, for colds and flu, with children, with adults. Of course, he used many other botanicals too, but garlic was one of the main things he used in his apothecary. I attended this conference back in 1991. It was the first World Congress on the health significance of garlic and garlic constituents, which was at Washington, D.C. 3 days of scientific meetings all about garlic. All the world's great garlic scientists came together, and I was developing a garlic supplement at that time, but before we came out with the formula, I went there to meet with the scientists to hear all the latest research, and it was a fascinating program. The only thing that I was disappointed about, all the meals that they served, they didn't have any garlic in it. And I thought they should have included that. And what we know is, from a toxicity standpoint, well, garlic is a food. So, of course, some people do get GI upset with garlic, and some people can have allergic reactions. We do know that garlic is a very powerful anticoagulant. It helps keep the blood thin. That's one of the reasons it's healthy from a heart disease standpoint. It can prevent the blood clotting from taking effect. However, if you're taking medications that are anticoagulants, blood thinning agents, like Coumadin, you're going to have to avoid eating lots of foods with garlic, and the doctors need to be aware of that if you are taking garlic supplements or eat a lot of garlic and you are on blood thinning medications. Most scientists will recommend that you have equivalent to 1 to 2 cloves every day as a good general health and wellness, preventive medicine type of thing as part of your diet. And if you have high blood pressure or high cholesterol, to maybe going to 3 or more cloves a day. Now, let me talk a little bit about some garlic chemistry. When you get a garlic bulb, you go down to the grocery store and pick up a garlic bulb in its entirety and smell it. What does it smell like? You said it. It doesn't smell like anything. What you have to do is you have to take the garlic clove, chop it, crush it, dice it, do something to it, and then the odor is released. And by the way, there are many garlic supplements out there. There's aged garlic extract, garlic oil capsules, garlic tablets. This gives you an idea, a little chemistry here. Here's your garlic bulb, and here's a garlic cell. And in the millions of garlic cells that you might find in a clove of garlic, there's 2 separate compartments in the cell, one with an amino acid called alliin, another area of the cell with the enzymes called alanase. And what happens when you do damage to that cell, you crush it, the amino acid comes in contact with the enzyme, and then it forms allicin. And allicin is the active compound that gives garlic its odor. Now, some companies will base their whole garlic supplements based on the allicin content, but that's not a good thing to do, because allicin quickly degrades into hundreds of other compounds, and these are other sulfur compounds. In fact, here's some of them. Don't try to write them all down right now. But anyway, these are some of the different sulfur-containing compounds that we have identified, and many of these are believed to have contribute towards anti-cancer benefits, anti-heart disease things, lowering cholesterol. Some of the compounds, these are all odorful compounds that provide medicinal benefits. Now, what is the best type of garlic supplement? Some people don't. First of all, I recommend eating garlic. If you can eat garlic every day, that's a good thing to do. But most people don't want to do that because of why? They don't want to smell like garlic. I don't know if you've ever been to the Gilroy Garlic Festival and spent a day there eating all day. You smell like garlic for 2 or 3 days. I went there for 2 days once. I was asked to be there because I was the garlic scientist. They had a booth there, and I had to answer information about the science of garlic and all that. But I just went hog wild and ate lots of garlic. And 3 days after, I was at the dentist. And I thought it had gone away. I brushed my teeth, took lots of showers, got clean and everything. And the dentist was across the room, and she hadn't even come up to me yet. And she says, "Oh, did you have garlic for lunch today?" And I had no garlic since that time, but it lingers for a while. Now, when you take the supplements, the garlic oil capsules are probably the ones that are least effective. I don't recommend them because they've been steam distilled. They're mostly an inert oil. They've added oil with very little garlic oil that's actually in it. Has no real major allicin forming compounds. Although there is a strong odor, you can belch up garlic oil capsules very easily. But what's happened is the processing, the high heat, the distillation that's been done, a lot of the important compounds in garlic have been destroyed. Then there's the aged garlic extracts, and they've been studied quite a bit. They are odorless. They're aged 20 months. You know, they cut it up fine and put it in alcohol for about 20 months to try to take out all the odor. But during that processing, a lot of the important natural compounds found in garlic, the phytochemicals, have been lost. And so I don't really believe in the aged garlic extracts. And they are popular. Kailua is one of the major brands of that. Because, you know, in Japan, and Kailua comes from Japan, they don't like garlic odor that much, you know, and they have some biases against it. So they wanted to sanitize it and get all the odor out. But in doing so, there's only a few things remaining. You've lost a lot of the natural garlic. So the best garlic supplements are ones that are made from whole garlic. They're made from a garlic powder that has been gently temperature-controlled, drying process that retains all the natural constituents of garlic. And they can be tableted in a way that they control the odor, but you don't want to get a product that says odorless, because the odorful compounds are the beneficial parts. So look for the garlic dried powdered products that have been tableted. Those would be the best ones. Now, what did the studies show? And this is based on a book from the American Dietetic Association that I helped put together. The claims are for lowering cholesterol. There's a lot of good evidence for that. There's a question mark there because there's some studies that showed that it wasn't effective, but overwhelmingly the articles show that it does help to lower cholesterol. There's some studies that show that it controls blood pressure. Now, you know, I was thinking a lot of times stress raises blood pressure for people, right? And most of the stress that people have is people problems. So if you eat a lot of garlic, what happens? Keep the people away from you, right? So maybe that's how it works. I don't know. I think there's really something physical to it too. But it does improve circulation. It's a good circulatory herb, reduces the risk of cancer. In fact, the National Institutes of Health, the National Cancer Institute, has identified 40 foods with the strong anti-cancer properties, and garlic is the #1 food that they've listed in that group. Antibiotic, antifungal, antibacterial, anti-parasitic, antiviral properties. When this symbol means that there's mixed studies. Some studies show that it's effective, others show that it's not as effective. And I think the ones that are not effective for antibiotics, for instance, the aged garlic extract where the odor is gone, has not been shown to be very effective because it's the odorful compounds that have the antibacterial properties. Gastrointestinal discomfort can be a problem. You can get garlic tablets in enteric-coated tablets, so it's released down lower in the intestinal tract. Avoid garlic 7 days prior to surgery due to potential increased bleeding. So if you're going into surgery and you're taking garlic supplements or eating a lot of garlic, it's best to avoid it for 7 days. I do recommend you let your doctor know you're taking garlic if you have heart disease or you have any medical condition. I'm going to skip over some of these here, but these are some studies to show that garlic is effective for lowering cholesterol. By the way, one garlic clove, a good garlic clove, is 3 grams. Most studies use equivalent of 2 to 5 grams of raw garlic. Crushing and allowing it to sit for 10 minutes, by the way, retains biologically active compounds destroyed by heat. Okay, effects on cholesterol. This is a study, meta-analysis of 16 trials. Authors acknowledge that many of these trials had methodological shortcomings. However, the dried garlic powders in the studies that they analyzed had significantly reduced triglyceride levels, and you'll see here statistically significant 12% average reductions in total cholesterol with garlic compared to placebo. Here's another study, meta-analysis that was done, significant 9% reduction in cholesterol following ingestion of garlic powder. So you'll see that 9 to 12% reductions in total cholesterol is actually pretty good. And if you combine that in combination with a healthy vegetarian diet, then you can really see significant drops, I believe. Here again, just more studies to substantiate that. Platelet aggregation and function, it does help in preventing blood clotting. I'm going to skip over some of these. These are just studies to indicate that it is very effective in keeping blood thin and preventing blood clotting. Garlic and cancer, as I mentioned, there are anti-cancer properties, phytochemicals that we do find in garlic. Here we have stomach cancer risk 13 times lower for Chinese subjects consuming 20 grams of garlic a day than those who ate less than 1 gram. Now 20 grams, by the way, is about 1 bulb of garlic. So that's a lot of garlic, but that's a 13 times lower risk of cancer. And in the Iowa Women's Health Study, it was shown to reduce colon cancer risks seen in women who ate garlic more than 1 time per week. Okay, another cardiovascular herb that's very beneficial, more so researched in Europe, is hawthorn berry. And hawthorn contains flavonoids. It's a very potent antioxidant that can prevent and can actually protect blood vessel walls, particularly coronary blood vessels. It's been shown to dilate blood vessels to the heart, increasing flow to the brain. Here again, hawthorn is a fruit. It's a berry. Very natural. You can't really overdose on that. Ginkgo biloba, another herb that has been shown to improve circulation. They find fossils of ginkgo leaf today. Of course, cerebral vascular disease is the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States. I believe a lot of that, of course, is caused by the improper diet. And I want to mention, we're talking about herbs to help get some cardiovascular benefit. But I think the most important thing to do is to follow a healthy, low-fat, ideally vegan, vegetarian diet, and you're going to improve a lot of these conditions just by following that healthy diet. But these can be adjuncts in addition to the optimal diet for heart disease and circulatory diseases. Ginkgo has been beneficial for vertigo, dizziness, ringing in the ears, peripheral vascular disorders such as diabetes, Raynaud's disease, postphlebitis, intermittent claudication, which is a lack of circulation to the lower extremities and the legs, which is actually like atherosclerosis of their vessels in the legs. There have been improvements with ginkgo. You know, a lot of research has been done on cognitive function, showing 54 men, 7 women, 62 to 85 years of age, mild cognitive impairment. They had ginkgo or a placebo, duration for 3 months. And here you have improvements in studies that have been done on increasing accuracy. They did different tests on memory and accuracy, and big improvements as compared to the placebo. To see the benefits needs to be taken every day, and it's over about a 3-month period of time that benefits are seen in most of the studies. Some people get GI upset with it, rare headaches, but overall the side effects are quite low, and the studies point forward only 4% of people taking ginkgo had side effects from it. It may have an additive antiplatelet effect with prescription medications such as Coumadin. So if you're taking blood thinning medications, it may not be a good thing to be taking ginkgo with it. You need to talk to your doctor about that. It's been used in China for centuries, and I have to tell you that it's important, and by the way, it's the flavonoids and some of the different ginkgolides. These are phytochemicals that are found in the leaf of ginkgo that have the potent free radical scavenger effects. These are very potent antioxidants that are believed to improve the blood vessels and to also help the circulation, peripheral circulation, and cerebral circulation. That's where memory enhancement may come in. A lot of well-designed studies in Europe, but there has been conflicting studies enhancing memory. There's been a lot of studies in Europe that show that it's been effective. In the United States, some of the studies, there's been some studies showing it effective with Alzheimer's patients, but there's been some showing no improvement. So you've got mixed reviews on that. Now, improve memory and concentration in healthy individuals. That's a debatable thing, because I know a lot of young people taking ginkgo before they have their final exam, in college, thinking it's going to help them with their memory. And there hasn't been much study to confirm improved memory with younger people, but more of it with older people with senility, with Alzheimer's. It does improve circulation, particularly in patients who have intermittent claudication or lack of circulation to the lower extremities. Very potent, strong antioxidant. One thing to be advised is it needs to be avoided 36 hours prior to surgery because of potential increased bleeding. Looking for a proper ginkgo supplement. Now, I do see products out there where it'll say ginkgo capsules, and people will buy them and they'll pay a lot of money for them. But what it is, it's only the ginkgo leaf that's been powdered, and they put it into a capsule and they charge a lot of money, sometimes more than the standardized extracts for the same price. Don't buy those. You need to get a ginkgo that has about a 50-to-1 concentrated leaf extract that's been standardized. This is important to look for on the ginkgo label. 24% ginkgo flavonoid glycosides and 6% terpenes. Those are key terms because you know that that is a very concentrated ginkgo extract that's been standardized. 24%. So it has some promise with Alzheimer's disease. Some studies that have supported that. This study has significant effect in favor of ginkgo with 3% differences in Alzheimer's disease assessment scale. They did different cognitive studies and found it here again, greater benefit of ginkgo for Alzheimer's patients than multi-infarct dementia patients. Significant clinical response in 28% of ginkgo group compared to 10% placebo. Now let's talk about Echinacea. And how many of you take Echinacea when you feel a cold coming on? I'm just curious. A few years ago it was more popular than it is now. But Echinacea is another well-researched herb. It was first used by the Native Americans and actually introduced to the early settlers in the United States. They used it for colds and for flu symptoms. And we do know that it does stimulate the immune system. It activates the phagocytic macrophages, the T lymphocytes and natural killer cells. It increases levels of fibroblasts and interferon. And, of course, most well known for treating cold and influenza viral infections. Number of studies have been done over the years to verify this, mostly in the European literature. There have been some studies to show positive benefits in the U.S. scientific studies, but there's been some negative studies shown as well. And I think the negative studies, from my observation of them, were using Echinacea products that probably weren't the ideal or the most effectively formulated ones. Cold press extracts, the dosage is 2 to 3 milliliters, 3 or 4 times a day. And the key is, with Echinacea, to take it right at the beginning, the first onset. Just start to see yourself coming down with the cold or flu, to take it right then. If you wait too long, it's probably not going to be that effective. And continue 24 hours after symptoms, even after your symptoms have improved. We don't recommend taking it because it's an immunostimulant. We don't recommend taking immunostimulants over a long period of time, no longer than 8 weeks. Some people take it prophylactically as a preventive when they're exposed, when they're, now we're into flu season. If you tend to be around a lot of people who have cold and flu and you don't want to catch it, it might be a good thing to take it then. Really no toxicity, although you can be allergic. People who are allergic to certain flowers can also be, because this is a flower and it's a root as well as the flower that's used, they can have allergy reactions. As far as drug interactions, there's none that have really been documented in the literature, but it can potentially antagonize, if people are taking immunosuppressive drugs, because it is a immune enhancer, it's not a good thing to take if you're taking drugs to suppress the immune system because it'll enhance it. May decrease the effectiveness of corticosteroids, although this hasn't been proven, but there's a potential for that as well. So it's not recommended for people that have autoimmune disorders, tuberculosis, MS, and other types of autoimmune conditions. There's different types of Echinacea. Echinacea purpurea, above ground parts, Echinacea palata, and Echinacea augustifolia. They use the root part of the plant. This has been approved by the German Commissionee for use as a supportive therapy for colds and flu. And in Europe it's used extensively for that condition. So we do know that it does boost the immune system. There's questions about cold and flu. Some studies have shown positive. Actually, a lot of them show positive, but there's studies that show that it is not effective either. So I find it very effective if I have it. I don't get cold and flus that much, but when I do, I use it, and it seems to be quite helpful. Saw palmetto is an herb that grows in the Florida area, southeastern U.S., and is a very effective herb for many men who have enlarged prostate. It takes 4 to 6 weeks to see the effect of it. It has to be taken regularly for at least 4 to 6 weeks. May be combined with other herbal agents such as pumpkin seed oil. And of course, here we have a healthy prostate here, and you see the urethra where the urine can go through very nicely, but as the prostate enlarges, new growth, it impinges on that flow of urine, and that's what we call benign prostatic hyperplasia or enlarged prostate. The symptoms can lead from frequent urination day or night, sense of urgency all the time, to very severe cases where it's complete blockage of the urinary flow. Now, medications that are used for treating enlarged prostate, there's a lot of side effects with them. Dizziness, headaches, weakness, sexual dysfunction. And surgery can lead to some surgical complications, as well as men losing their virility, actually, as a result of the surgery. Typically, in the United States, as men begin to age, around age 40, they see a gradual decrease in the force of urinary flow. The prostate is beginning to enlarge. At age 55, 1 in 4 men have BPH symptoms. And by age 80, 8 in 10 men have enlarged prostate. Now, what's interesting is that in countries where they eat largely a plant-based diet, and they eat very little meat or animal products, less dairy products, less red meat, you don't find prostate enlargement as a major problem like we have in the United States. So the phytochemicals that you find in saw palmetto and pumpkin seed, some of these phytosterols and fatty acids, are more rich in a vegetarian or a plant-based diet. Number of clinical studies, well-published, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies in major medical journals, particularly in Europe, because that's where they have more of an interest in the phytochemicals and so forth. We do see increased urinary flow, less urine in the bladder after urination, improved quality of life with men with prostate enlargement. And probably the ideal herbal supplement would be where saw palmetto is in combination with pumpkin seed oil, and the clinical studies show, here again, increased urinary flow, fewer trips to the bathroom at night, and there's really no side effects because these things are very similar to foods. So what is the dosage that's recommended? For men with enlarged prostate, we recommend 160 milligrams of a lipophilic extract, a standardized extract, twice a day. This should be standardized to contain 85 to 95% fatty acids and sterols. That's what will be listed on that. I think eating pumpkin seeds is a good thing to do for preventing enlarged prostate too, because of the types of fats and fatty acids. It decreases the production, it's believed, of what we call dihydrotestosterone, or DHT, by inhibiting an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. It's the DHT, which is the bad type of hormone that causes men to lose their hair, it causes enlarged prostate, and a lot of other things that men get as they get older. It also has anti-inflammatory effects due to inhibition of some of these compounds, too. It's not really recommended for prostate cancer, but for enlarged prostate. Here's your pumpkin seed oil. The German commissionee recommends pumpkin seed oil. Actually, this is taken right out of the German commissionee, that it's effective for prostate conditions. Now, beta-sitosterol. Beta-sitosterol is another phytochemical we find in many plants. It's found a rich source in soybeans. This is also effective in helping to decrease symptoms associated with enlarged prostate. And you see beta-sitosterol has some similarities in its biochemical structure to testosterone, by the way. Beta-sitosterol, here again, clinical studies, and sometimes you're going to see supplements with beta-sitosterol in combination with saw palmetto and with pumpkin seed. I think that's a good combination. It helps in increasing the urinary flow, decreasing residual urine and bladder, decreasing severity of symptoms associated with BHP. Let's talk about some of the herbs for anxiety and stress, valerian and kava. These are just some of the herbs, and one of the ones that I did quite a bit of research on a number of years ago was valerian. It's the #1 sleep aid used in Europe. In fact, Galen, who is a Roman physician, used valerian. By the way, he's the one that invented cold cream as well. But he used it effectively back in ancient times for anxiety. It's an anxiolytic, helps people in treating anxiety, insomnia, and reducing stress. It's a calmative herb, and there's been a number of well-designed, placebo, double-blind, studies to show that valerian and valerian root extracts are quite effective in helping to improve the quality of sleep. Now, what valerian does, it doesn't put you to sleep. It kind of puts your body in a way that it allows it to sleep, in a restful, calming feeling. It does have sedative properties. It's also antispasmodic and anticonvulsant effects. The phytochemical valerianic acid is believed to be related to the chemical constituents that are active in its calming effects. 300 to 400 milligrams of a concentrated root extract 1 to 3 times a day is what's recommended. However, I want to caution people not to take valerian when you're driving your car and when you're working with heavy machinery and so forth. You need to be alert because it does have very relaxing effects. 1 cup of boiling water over a teaspoon of ground dried root is a dosage. 1.5 to 1 teaspoon of a tincture is effective several times a day during periods of stress. How many of you ever smelled valerian? What does it smell like? Actually, the best definition of the smell of valerian is it smells like dirty, well-seasoned, dirty gym socks. So that's why valerian, the root word comes from a word about scaring the demons away. It's probably because of its smell. Side effects, mild stomach ache in some people, headaches, excitability, cardiac disturbance have been reported at higher doses, but it's very rare. It seems to be quite safer, but I do not recommend taking it if you are taking sedatives or antidepressant medications. And really, it's not an herb that I would recommend for young children. I know people, sometimes the young kids keep us crazy and we want to calm them down. There's actually an ethical issue about giving sedatives, even herbal sedatives, to young kids, if that's really an ethical thing to do. There are other herbs that you could give kids that may be calming, that would be safer. So it does enhance sleep, reduces stress and anxiety. I want to mention there's 2 other herbs that are also helpful. That's passion flower and German chamomile flower. The extracts from these in combination with valerian can be quite effective. And hops is another herb that can be effective. St. John's wort. Here we have the #1 antidepressant medicine used in Germany, used in Europe for centuries for depression, menopause, fatigue. A very effective herb. Has anti-inflammatory properties. And the dosage for St. John's wort is 300 to 900 milligrams per day of a standardized extract, and it needs to contain 0.3% hypericin. That's what you want to look for in St. John's wort. Not just a St. John flower powder, but you want to look for a standardized extract based on hypericin. 600 to 900 milligram doses are more common and taken with food. Not recommended for pregnant women, by the way. Kava. How many of you take kava? Here we are in Hawaii. Do you like it? Does it help? Kava, again, it helps with anxiety, stress, and insomnia. 70 milligrams of cavalactones in the form of standardized extract 2 to 3 times a day is what's recommended for anxiety, stress, and for restlessness. 180 to 210 milligrams of cavalactones 1 hour before going to bed. Of course, here in Hawaii, there's a lot of the kava bars and so forth. People drink it, and they're not really taking standardized extracts, but it's been known to be quite effective for a long time. Milk thistle. Now, the whole area of herbal medicine, there's a lot of claims about herbs for detoxification. And unfortunately, a lot of these herbs, there's a lot of hype with it. But milk thistle indeed is an herb that has detoxifying properties. Now, the act of detoxification actually is in removing potential toxins from the body. And we get toxins in our body in many ways. From the consumption of foods and consumption of things we put into our body, whether it's alcohol or tobacco, breathing, skin exposure, all these things can add toxins to the body. And our liver processes all the toxins. It can excrete it through the intestines, through waste material, also through the kidney and through the urine. And, of course, the liver is our most important organ for detoxification. Its health is critical to almost every body function. It's unique and capable of regenerating itself. Liver cells can actually regenerate themselves. And here we have a liver cell. And see the cell membrane is very good here, but when toxins, many of them are free radicals, they damage the cells, they damage the membrane of the cell and attack it, and that's when the liver cells are destroyed. Now, milk thistle seed is approved by the German government for chronic liver conditions, and the active compound in milk thistle is what we call silymarin. Silymarin is a mixture of antioxidant compounds found in the milk thistle seed extract. And laboratory studies have shown that silymarin can be effective in protecting liver cells from damage from alcohol, carbon tetrachloride, which is dry cleaning solvent, acetaminophen or Tylenol. Here again, when I talk to patients that are taking lots of Tylenol, I recommend, because of the damage being done to their liver from the Tylenol, that they should take milk thistle seed extract. And even death cap mushrooms, it's been shown to inhibit the damage done from poisonous mushrooms. I want to just close by saying we talk about supplements, but the most important herbs that you should take every day is the herbs that you have 3 times a day with your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You know, what about supplements? Recognize that the term supplement means supplement. It's something that complements the diet. It does not replace food. We just don't live off taking capsules and tablets and pills. Although I'm a big proponent of supplements, I think we need to have a good balance. I know people that eat terrible diets and they just take supplements all the time. So supplements don't replace the foods that we need to eat. We need to make sure that we eat ideally an all-plant vegetarian diet, I think, is the optimal diet for health. And then you may want to take some supplements in addition for specific conditions, whether it's herbal supplements or nutritional supplements on a regular basis to maintain and promote optimal health. So I want to thank you very much, and I'll be up here if you have any other questions later on. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, John. I'm sorry we didn't have time for more questions, but we don't. Thank you. Because the city and county does require us to be out. So if we're going to have our refreshments, which I hope you all will, we really have to call it quits. I think that one of the most important things John said tonight was many people think dairy is the source for calcium, but it really is the case that we actually end up losing calcium if we have too much dairy. So always remember the answer to every question people ask us as vegetarians, questions such as where do you get your calcium, where do you get your iron, the short answer is always dark green leafy vegetables. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by the Vegetarian Society of Hawaii, a nonprofit organization dedicated to sharing with the community the many benefits of a vegetarian diet. Free monthly meetings include vegetarian experts found locally and on the mainland, quick and easy cooking demonstrations, and healthful and delicious food samples. Members enjoy an informative quarterly newsletter, social activities, and discounts at many vegetarian-friendly restaurants and health food stores. For an application, call 944-8344. That's 944-8344. Or visit our website at www.vsh.org. vsh.org.